You broke my heart. You did.
Hey, everybody. It's Greg Proops. I'm the smartest man in the world. That's pretty conceited, don't you think?
Come on, baby, can you do more than dance?
But I'm a great singer and I'm really freaking funny. I'm not going to cuss on this so that you won't have to bleep me, Mike. Did you know that Mike's Daily Podcast is completely independently created and produced? Did you know that just about every podcast you listen to is part of a huge network like mine?
Always win. God bless America, lands that I love.
I do a lot of weird singing. And podcasts are also part of big corporations, a lot of them, and also they're recorded off of radio stations. Who frickin' wrote this? I'm not cussing at all, Mike. Did you know big name podcast players like iTunes and Stitcher show only podcasts that pay for advertising? I don't think I pay for the advertising, but somebody else does that for me. Anyway, you should support independent podcasters is what I'm saying. And now Mike's Daily Podcast.
This show is clean, pretty much.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 817. Hello, it's Mike Matthews broadcasting from the last place on earth located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, California. Today we look at some interesting recent stories on the much-loved segment Matthews News. Plus we hear from Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley, and an Apple car. Will it be overpriced and suck? We'll find out with that bit of news.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And on the last show, Basil the boxer, my dog, drooled a lot, and we all went, ew.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And then the disgruntled fiddle player punched Benita the Rotary Queen's ex-boyfriend. And I'm wondering when the song will end. The nice girl from Jersey Mike's gave Basil a bunch of chicken and roast beef that he liked, and that made his drooling stop. Finally. Heck, I would have liked to have eaten it, but
Mike's Daily Podcast.
It went to my dog drooling up a storm today, which I mentioned on my blog.
Mike's
And we traveled in time
Daily
with the Brewmaster's time traveling
Podcast.
root beer. And Rolling Stone has decided to release and rank Saturday Night Live's cast members. Supposedly there have been 141 of them. And they rank... oh, look, it just walked in. Hello, Michael Mash, this is Madame Rootabega. And what about Rolling Stone? Yeah, they rank all the Saturday Night Live cast members. And so that you don't have to pay the $7 or $8 or however much it costs to buy a Rolling Stone these days. Here, I'll sum it up for you how they rank them. Basically, if they're not John Belushi, they suck. That's it. I tried to read about like some of the more obscure cast members, and all it yelled at me was, they're not important. Stop trying to find out more about those obscure cast members. They never made a major movie. This is written by hipsters who reek of pot. So that was what I discovered reading Rolling Stone. Look who else just walked in.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the backing attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, we love the Rolling Stone magazine there because it talks about musicians. And musicians are so cool because they sing and they reek of pot.
Mike, I think what you need to do is read the Rolling Stone magazine high. Do you know that?
Well, I usually read it at work, so there you go. I can't be high at work, but you know what? Whatever. It's a magazine that I don't really care for much anymore. But I do like the fact that some people that run restaurants, when they see Basil the Boxer, they decide that he needs to have a bunch of meat that they have there at their restaurant. They just throw it at him and he just gobbles it up. It's good to be a dog, is basically what I'm saying. And that Apple wants to make a car. That's right. They are working on an electric car project to rival GM, Nissan, and Tesla. Apple has hundreds of employees working on an electric car project. The Wall Street Journal reported yesterday. The paper, quoting people familiar with the matter, said the project was codenamed Titan and had an initial design of a vehicle resembling a minivan. It said an Apple spokesman declined to comment. The Financial Times first reported the story. I don't read that either, but I bet I'd enjoy it more than Rolling Stone. I have this thing about Saturday Night Live. I watched it for a long time. To me, I really, you can't blame the cast members for the things that went wrong on the show. No, because it's the writers. Yes, Mike, sometimes the writers are cast members, but they tried. And I feel like Rolling Stone just kind of glosses through, maybe there's an interesting backstory, but Rolling Stone won't bring that to you because that involves investigating. Let's hear it for investigating. Yay, investigating's great. I don't do it on the show. But what I do is play music by people that I interview, and I've done many interviews on this show. On this show, there's not an interview. There's the news segment, Matthew's News. So I feel that it is time that I, at this point, get something off my chest, if I may.
Mike ripped someone a new one.
I'm not going to rip someone a new one, but I am going to get this off my chest. I do not like, I've been seeing this a lot lately, when I post an interview with a band, I see these shares on Facebook. People will they will share the post. I don't know all the technical terms. You know what I'm trying to say. And they say this they'll repost it and then they'll say, "Oh, this is an interview that our band did. You can hear the interview 12 minutes into the podcast. Fast forward 12 minutes into the podcast to hear the interview."
Yeah, Mike, what's wrong with that?
Valentino, I'm glad you asked. I was going to ask too, Mike, but he got in front of me. Saturday Night Live has a bunch of awful cast members. Do you know that? You try and do a live TV show on a Saturday night in New York City. Okay, never mind. Anyway, what I was going to say was that saying, fast forward 12 minutes in to hear the interview, I've been kind of like, yeah, all right, that's true. The interview does start then. All right, blow past all the stuff with the characters. You guys, Madame Rootabega, they're just going to whiz right by you. Michael Master, I don't like it when anybody whizzes by me. Ooh. And nobody likes to be whizzed on. So that's why I say, well, maybe I should then post, oh, if you go to a concert with this band, don't bother going and listening to the first two songs. Go 12 minutes into the concert because that's when they have their good song, their one good song, and then leave 15 minutes into the concert after they're done with that song because the rest that you're wasting your time is what I feel like saying. If I were to rip someone a new one and be all full of rage and anger.
Mike, I've never seen you this full of ire before, day.
Yeah, Mike, I kind of like it. Do you know that? Well, and then somebody else in an interview, quite a few interviews back, told me they actually berated me after, because, I usually divide the interview into a couple of parts. After the first part aired, she writes, or he, could have been a he or a she, I won't be specific, but she writes, "Hey, make me sound better the next one you post." I make you sound the way you sound, ma'am. That's just how it is. This show is real, except for the character parts. But Michael Masu, I'm not real. Oh, no. Just don't realize that right now because I'm trying to make the point that I'm not gonna. What do you want me to do? Put your voice through an effects box and make you sound like you have a deeper voice? This particular person I interviewed stuttered a lot, and I guess they wanted me to cut out all their stutters. And then this particular person yelled at me because I couldn't remember. They wanted me to name like every single venue in San Francisco, and I'm like, I don't know every single venue. I've been to a couple of them. I haven't been to all of them. I support music by putting artists on my show. I'm giving them free publicity. I'm playing their music for free on my show. I'm supporting them. I don't have to go to anyway, rubbed me the wrong way. So there, I think I'm done ripping everyone a new one that needed to be ripped a new one. Guys, don't worry. I don't think anyone that whizzes by you characters maybe we should use a different expression. Anyone that fast forwards past you, I think they're missing a lot. Thank you, Michael Master.
Yeah, Mike, that's much appreciated.
Yeah, appreciated. Do you know that? And what do you think about Apple making a car and Saturday Night Live being reviewed by Rolling Stone? And the thing about my dog drooling. Email me, mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. We read your comments on the section emails from email. Also email me there if you'd like to be a guest on the show or if you would like to sponsor the show, mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. You can listen to the show on iTunes. There's a link to where to do that at mikesdailypodcast.com. You can comment on the show and rate it. No matter what you think of the show, if you rate it, that helps more people find out about the show because, as you heard the wonderful Greg Proops say at the beginning of the show, it's impossible to get through the clutter because all iTunes and Stitcher care about are the big names, the people that have been on TV, or the people that dump enough money into Stitcher and iTunes. So you can, by the way, hear us on Stitcher as well as Spreaker, Mixcloud, Podomatic, TuneIn, and SoundCloud, and we are on YouTube. And you can tell your friends about this show through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Yelp, and Tumblr. Follow us and friend us on all those things and tell your friends about us that way. And we are also happy to have an Amazon link at mikesdailypodcast.com. Before you buy anything on Amazon, go through that link, and that helps us get a little bit of support through that. If you do that, you can catch the blog, the Daily Podcast picture, and all my past interviews too at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Matthew's News.
Here are some recent interesting stories that caught my eye for the segment Matthew's News. I think you'll find these interesting as well. And we first begin with Apple.
You're the apple of my eye. You're the apple of my heart. But now the time has come.
This is according to What's Happenin's Tri-City Voice. Well, more than 3 years after his death, legendary Apple CEO Steve Jobs held a federal courtroom transfixed as attorneys played a video of his testimony in a class action lawsuit that accuses Apple of inflating prices by locking music lovers into using Apple's iPod players. Looking gaunt and pale, Jobs spoke softly during the deposition he gave 6 months before his death in October 2011. But he gave a firm defense of Apple's software, which blocked music from servers that competed with Apple's iTunes store. We were very scared of the prospects that hackers could break Apple's security system, Jobs said, because that might jeopardize Apple's contracts with music recording companies that didn't want their songs to be pirated. We would get nasty emails from the labels, he added. But Jobs didn't seem cowed by the record labels in an email read by an attorney for the plaintiffs, in which he demanded that a record company executive publicly apologize for praising rival Real Networks for producing software that would make songs from the Real Network store play on Apple's iPods. Dressed in his trademark black turtleneck and blue jeans, Jobs appeared impatient at times and swiveled in his chair during the session, which was recorded at Apple's headquarters in Cupertino. He said he didn't remember why he was upset with the recording executive, but he acknowledged that he had proposed language for an Apple press release that condemned Real Networks as a hacker. Apple used anti-piracy software that ensured only songs from its own iTunes store could be played on its iPod devices. Attorneys for a group of consumers and iPod resellers say
That froze rival device makers out of the market, allowing Apple to sell iPods at inflated prices. Apple's attorneys said that neither of the women named as plaintiffs in this lawsuit purchased iPods equipped with the restrictive software during the time frame covered by the lawsuit, which is September 2006 to March 2009. Apple lawyer William Isaacson formally asked the judge to dismiss the case because the two women can't claim to have suffered the harm alleged in the suit. Food. If you're still blissfully unaware of how many calories are in your movie theater popcorn or amusement park funnel cake or frozen margarita, savor it, because you won't be able to escape the truth long. New rules from the Food and Drug Administration are kicking in, requiring chain eateries to post calorie counts for all items on the menu, including drinks. The FDA hopes awareness about which foods are more caloric than others will prompt healthier choices and help stem the obesity epidemic. And considering that 25% of people in one recent study underestimated the number of calories in the fast food that they'd eaten by at least 500, those in-your-face counts could actually help. Where will the new calorie tallies turn up? Any chain that sells food and has 20 or more locations, including convenience stores, coffee shops, gas stations, pizza parlors, movie theaters, amusement parks, and supermarkets with prepared food sections. Your 3 p.m. snack is about to get hit with labels too. Though companies have 2 years to comply, anything in a vending machine will also come with calorie counts. But do calorie counts really affect buying behavior? Research findings are mixed. Some studies suggest calorie counts nudge us toward lighter options, while others show they don't make a big difference. One study found that posting calories influences customers in taco and coffee chains, but not burger and sandwich shops. More research is needed, but one thing is clear: we are terrible at judging how much we eat. Public health leaders are banking on the idea that raising awareness will help Americans adopt healthier diets. Now, are calories the most important thing in making a healthy choice? Well, according to Time magazine, it depends, since calories aren't created equal. Whether foods are nutrient dense is also important. A candy bar may pack the same number of calories as Greek yogurt with nuts, but your body will make use of and store the energy from them very differently. Focus on eating the right things first, and then fit them into your daily calorie allotment. By the way, Time also found out surprising chain restaurant calorie bombs, the biggest of which was 1,080 calories. That is in a salad. At TGI Fridays, it's their pecan-crusted chicken salad, or pecan-crusted chicken salad, whichever you prefer.
I smoked 2 joints before I smoked 2 joints, and then I smoked 2 more. Oh, my daddy.
Bob Marley. He is the spiritual and musical godfather of Pothead Nation. Now his family is taking his legend to the bank with a new line of weed-related products marketed under the Marley banner. They're really special because they're inspired by our father, says Marley's eldest daughter, Cedella. We'll be offering heirloom strains from Jamaica, inspired by strains he liked to smoke, topicals that contain hemp, herb extracts, island botanicals, and some accessories. The brand is the fruit of a partnership between Marley and Privateer Holdings, a Seattle-based private equity company that invests exclusively in the cannabis industry. Initial plans are for the Marley Natural line to be sold in Canada, where medical marijuana is legal, but expansion into the U.S. is likely at some point in the future. The Marley family has occasionally been criticized for licensing its name to products including coffee, headphones, and a resort in the Bahamas, but this endeavor felt like an easy fit. According to Stephen Marley, we need to be front runners in the use of cannabis. If my father were alive, I know he would be a big part of this movement. This, according to Rolling Stone magazine.
My mama, she once told me, son, you do the best you can.
Oh, what a shock. It was in Rolling Stone magazine. As we go outside of the last place on earth where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley, California.
And here's today's podcast best picture?
The picture is a drawing with Floyd the Floorman, who happens to be out here on the patio of the Last Place on Earth. Yes, Mike, we are discussing Valentine's Day and the proper way of pronouncing that name. Yes, some people call it Valentine's Day, which is wrong. I know some of you can't understand what a tine is. Tiny yellow ribbon around the tiny dancer. No, it's just Valentine, right? So some people say Valentine, and that's the drawing. Mike'sDailyPodcast.com. Michael Matthew, I can't wait to go see 50 Shades of Grey. Everybody's going to see that movie today. It's great. All the blindfolds that are going to be used tonight. Wow. Lot of crazy stuff going to be happening. Perhaps, and afterwards, those people will read that Rolling Stone article. After what, Michael Matthew? After next show, hey, we're going to have a really cool guest. A very beautiful country music singer who is up and coming. You're going to hear more about her. She's amazing. And we're going to talk to her, hear some of her music. Her name is Morgan Riley. And we'll have that on the next show. And we will hear from Shelley Shuhart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the engineer. Happy Valentine's Day.
Don't you mean Valentine Day?
Mike, now I have uncontrollable drooling. Do you know that?
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Michael Matthew, I can't wait for my Upper minivan. Oh, yeah, me neither. You know, Floyd, Rolling Stone magazine doesn't care about us because our name isn't Mark Maron.